evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Planning Committee meeting. Just like to read this note. This meeting is being recorded by the Town Council. Please note the recording device is sensitive and recordings cannot be edited, so do not say anything you do not want to be recorded. If necessary, I will direct all recordings in the room to be stopped, but generally I want to avoid doing so that we may normally record everything except any item taken in closed session. Members of the public may also make their own recordings but must follow our rules for doing so, including stopping recording when requested. Thank you. Item 1 on the agenda, apologies for absence.
With apologies from Councillor Martin and Councillor Gary Stroud.
Item number 2, declare of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. Anyone got a request for dispensation? Minutes of the previous meeting. Page 166, 167. 168 is the planning applications. 169 is also a planning application. Do I have permission to?
Yes, do you have one?
Any matters arising from the minutes? Item 5, members of the public to speak on planning applications before the committee. Would anyone like to speak? John?
Presumably you've had my
Email?
yesterday.
Yes.
That's all right.
Thank you for that. Anyone else got anything to say? Thank you. Item 6, West Suffolk Design Guide consultation response. Anyone got anything to say on that?
I forwarded it over the agenda. People are happy with what I wrote.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll take that as read then. Item 7, Bell Public House, EC/14/1172/4. To consider any additional comments to submit to St Haverhill Development Committee take place on the 8th of January. Bearing in mind it's been reported that the officers are minded to grant this, some who said no. Because of the high street maybe. So does anyone want to add any further comments? Yes, Betty.
There's always been flats above shops in high streets, but this seems to be, the retail unit involved here is very small. So it's mainly a housing development setting up. And I'm concerned about the number of children possibly living in this development. Is the exit on to the high street the only exit for this, for cars?
It is.
What's going to happen on a closed market day? How are these people going to get out?
Walk.
Or so they're confined to the homes on a Saturday?
Precisely.
Yeah. So honest,
That also means they can't have visitors on the Saturday.
Yes, well, there's likely to be quite a few children in that development. So with children, bicycles and scooters, where are they going to play? High Street? It seems to be the wrong environment totally for family units.
I totally agree. Yes, Barry.
We've all agreed that this should never be passed. From what I can gather, everybody here, we're just toothless, and Ferry is just going to go roughshod and do what they want. How does this fall in with the plan of 2031 or whatever it is? It's ridiculous to even. Why are they just going to go ahead and build it? Is there something going on? I'm missing the point here. There's no access to it, like you said. There's going to be children there. You can't use it during the day, somebody's going to be ill, you can't get an ambulance to it, it's closed off, the street is closed. Am I missing the
In terms
point here
of,
somewhere?
in terms of Vision 2031, I've put on your desks the excerpt from Vision 2031, section 15, Haverhill Town Centre. This is the adopted local plan, and I've highlighted in red those parts which to me support our argument and what you're saying, that, you know, that they should listen to us in terms of refusing this. And, you know, pretty well every section, well actually yes, every section has something in red there to show that there's something to support us. It does talk about encourage use of above shop premises, but taking on board what Councillor McClatchy's just said. Of course, that is the point. It's above shop premises. This is not above shop premises. This isn't incidental to the shop. This is a housing development.
With a retail at front.
So to answer what you said, how come Bury have already intimated that they're going to accept it? Where has this come from?
I'll pick up these two gentlemen in a minute.
I'd just like to know.
As far as I know,
We've got councillors on the county, so
I know.
have they got no voice? Are they, you know?
I'm mindful of the fact that the borough always thinks about if we refuse the application and it goes to appeal, it's going to cost them a heap of money. And they have to weigh up what the chances are of someone winning an appeal, because if they win the appeal, we have to pay all the costs. The borough does. It's a bit like...
So it's all to do with who's got the biggest purse, basically.
Well, you wouldn't want to make a stick that had no inside to it, that was, you know. So there's no point in the borough saying, no, you can't have planning permission. Someone going to appeal and getting planning permission anyway, and it costing a fortune. If you know what the outcome's going to be at the end, you might as well grant permission at the beginning.
So how do you know, because I'm green, I've got experience of it, how do you know that this will get through?
I don't know it will go through, but I'm saying that that's the attitude that the borough take on a lot of applications. They look at it to see whether it's likely to succeed under appeal, and if it does, then there's no point in refusing it in the first place. I'll come to you in a minute. Pat was first.
Yeah, when we had this planning application come in, they said that they wanted to park in a car park on a Saturday, and you know, which is ridiculous, because when you think of it, like you and me, how many people forget to put their bins out? And on a number of occasions they forget, you know, because 6 days a week they'll be driving their cars into that complex from the high street, and one particular day on a Saturday that they drove it in, or they drove it in on a Friday night, and then they have to go to work or go out shopping or whatever to Cambridge in the car, they're going to be stuck, or they will try and get it out and cause utter chaos in the high street. You know, while we've got a market going on. So it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think that should be put as well, because no, they've got to think of that. And I think we should put in what Mr. Burns has put as well, the comments that he's put on the 2031 and all the other comments that he said as well.
Roger, you want to say something?
The principal problem we have, Chair, is that we can only object on material planning grounds. Without the support of the county council highlights before, the traffic issue isn't likely to succeed and would be seen as a material planning concern unless it was properly supported. So unless we can find other reasons which are material planning concerns, and I think the inappropriateness of the access is a material planning consideration, whether or not highways think it's an inappropriate access to premises. And one of the other material planning concerns is that it doesn't conform with our Haverhill Vision 2031, which is a relevant document. It's been passed, it's been approved, so we can quote that. And we should rely on, we need to rely on the evidence that we can use. It's got to be material planning issues, and it can't just be, we don't like this or we don't like that. It can't be anything that we can't enforce.
But the arguments are factual, aren't they?
David, there's something at the back of my mind that I don't know whether it's still the fact, but I've always thought there was something that said that had to have the right to have access to Queen's Highway. Well, certainly on a Friday and a Saturday, the market side, but you wouldn't have. So I would have thought that should be referred to highways at the very least. And it's a different development because all the other flats above shops have got their access and this just hasn't. Betty?
I was sitting in Tesco's car park the other day watching these pods in operation. We objected to that and there they are. Are they going to listen to us on this? Because it makes us look very ineffectual as town council when they don't listen to us. And I think we need to be asking questions as to why they don't listen to us.
Would you like to add anything? We're just going over the bill and any further reasons why we could object.
Yeah, I think you've covered it from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think John Jones has said about the access as well with the building lorries as well. It's a very, very tiny it's an overhang as you go in there, and the building lorries will not be able to get in there because it's such a thin access overhang. And they'd have to park out in the high street, which will cause a lot. Yeah, they'd have to unload, which of course, and that'd have to be where the parking area as well for the cars, for the disabled cars.
At the post office.
Yeah, and the post office. So, you know, there's sort of them objections as well. So
the other thing I'd like to add is the fact that what if there's an emergency and the fire brigade or the ambulance need to attend one of the residents on Saturday? How are they going to do that?
I said that earlier, Ernie.
Sorry?
I did mention that earlier.
Sorry.
The fire brigade has a right to destroy anything in its way, but that doesn't apply to ambulances, unfortunately.
They usually watch it burn and then put it up. Has anyone else got any more comments? You waving your hand, Barry, you want to say anything?
Sorry?
You waving your hand, you want to say anything else?
No, I'm just cleaning the pen. I've said what I think. I'm being really rude.
I'd hate anyone to go away from the meeting not having said what they wanted to say.
Yeah, I think perhaps we should add to our objections, we should make a primary objection. There needs to be a review of the access to the premises and leave it at that. I know there's been suggestions about coming across stout bookings of premises or coming from the car park, the Argos car park.
Yes, you just do
It's not for us to suggest that.
Are you happy with that, Clark?
Yeah, we also need to decide who is going to go along to represent the town council on Thursday. I am available in any case if you want me to go, but obviously if there's anybody else who wants to come along.
What time is it?
Well, the meeting starts at 10, but
It goes
we've got
on all day.
interest in items, I think, 4, 8, 11, 13, so it's the whole time.
With the committee's permission.
yeah, sorry.
I'll come to you in just a second. Sorry. Previous clerks have usually gone on our behalf, and if any councillors want to go live there, and that's usually shared arrangement. You want to go,
I'll go. I'd like to go and see what happens there.
if you speak to the
Now
clerk,
I'm retired, I can do what I want.
you can cause as much trouble as you like.
Absolutely, I will.
Tony?
Yeah, sorry, I've actually registered to speak, so if anything you wouldn't say, if you haven't got anyone to go over, I'll speak on you.
No, I think it's important that someone from the town council speaks as well.
We have registered to speak.
Oh, yeah. It's just that I think let's come out with the same things as you do. We've only got 3 minutes between us, so we'll have to,
No, you have 3 minutes as a council, 5 minutes as a council.
I think.
We'll have our own
What's
meetings.
your own speed minute?
Yeah, no, I've had to divide that up before.
There's nothing to stop you echoing.
We've got actually got yours.
Oh, right, okay.
There's nothing to stop you echoing on the town council side though, is
No,
there?
exactly.
Better still reinforcing it.
Or reinforcing it. If you want to speak to the clerk about what you're going to discuss outside the meeting, then that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, happy with that? Can we move on? Thank you for this piece of paper as well. Right, planning applications at last. The first one is for Gertie and Sons, planning application 0902. Listed building application, demolish the buildings 5, 6, 8 and 9 and 11, repair exposed walls and features of retained buildings, exposed ground, internal works to French Gothic building to install new service core and form new office suites and amended by details received on the 9th of August. And I think this confirms what they've come and talked to us about before. Yes, Clive?
Yes, if I make it right, we've had this one before, we've discussed it, and I think this is just a renewal of the current one, unless I'm very much mistaken.
I think they came and spoke to us about what they proposed to do before they put in an application.
Yes, but you haven't determined this one.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
They gave us the heads up beforehand to make sure that we were happy with what they were talking about, which I think we were at the time.
But as it expires on 13, it's obviously just renewing it, aren't they?
Yeah. Is everyone happy with this? Got any objections?
Yes, I'd like to, no, I don't object. But with only 15 years to go before this vision, there's time to plan ahead for, including this into a big town centre plan. And there's some lovely buildings there that convert to, say, music shop, antique shop, and I believe there's a suggested indoor market. So retain the really lovely buildings, but get rid of the nasty ones.
I think that's what they're intending to do.
But
So
get
that
the space through from the high street if possible.
And then we can try.
Pat,
Chair, yeah, I think that we should.
can you move your finger because it looks like...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got a camera. I think it's because of the fact that when we see this, we did ask for a rear access, didn't we, on this? And I think we should put that in writing, that we should have rear access, because it's so important that we get this done.
Do you think that should go in first so there's room to take the demolished building away rather than it going up the high street?
Yeah. That's another good point. But I was thinking more on the lines of the rear access for the high street.
Of course.
But as I say, yes, and I think we should put that before we agree to this, really.
So you want that as a prerequisite?
As a prerequisite, yeah.
Betty?
There was one little building, I think called the Counting House, is it?
Yeah, that's
If they took that down, there would be access to, say, Chapman's for deliveries and so on.
I mentioned that to them.
Yes.
They were a bit nutty about that. They wanted to keep it. Because we said about
There's
putting
nothing
that...
historical about that.
It's only 1930s. But what they could do, if they were really that bothered, is lift it off its foundations and move it somewhere else.
It doesn't look anything else. They've got some lovely buildings there which we should cherish.
Yeah. That big long office building they want to keep, and it's the factory bit at the back they want to take down.
But in the end, it's only an industrial site, isn't it? With some cherished buildings on it.
It's only an
It
industrial
is, sorry,
site.
it's an industrial site, officially.
It's a 1700 industrial site.
It's part of this town, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a long
so,
one.
so the nice buildings should be retained and the nasty ones got rid of.
Well, the object, as far as I understand, is that at the back of the French Gothic building, there's then factories, and the back of the French Gothic building, all the windows are blocked up, so you can't. There's no natural daylight in there, and they want to take them buildings away and reinstate the windows, and reinstate the grandeur of that French Gothic building, so it's fully utilised as an office building, and then put some flats and shops at the back of that.
Nice museum.
Yeah, that's on the other building.
Did council see the objection
Yes.
was by Jason Crook as well? So
Yeah.
in terms of the flip side of that. This document.
Yeah, we saw that.
It is on.
Does anyone want to read out the Jason Crook document? See, this is the sort of thing they want to knock down.
Yeah.
I think that's something I'm going to keep it.
What was that?
No, that's what I think that's what building 8 is it that one?
Oh, right, yeah. There's one of the metal fire buildings to keep it.
Did you want to speak, Roger?
Yes, Chair. There's a few items here. First one, it's not our place to tell them what they should do. It's our place to tell them whether we approve of what they want to do. That's what we're discussing today. Second one is we should welcome the fact that they disposed of that awful link through the churchyard. They're proposing pedestrian access through the churchyard, which we thought was disastrous. That appears to have disappeared now, which is good news. There have been objections about demolition on the basis that these are relatively rare structures, and it is in particularly good condition. It is older than some people think it is. Having said that, there is a retention of the lower part of the building, which retains the sort of features that the rest of it has. And looking at alternative uses, which we considered when they were talking to us about their proposals, it is very difficult to make alternative use out of that structure with all those iron columns all over the place. Although there are some very good examples in the objections where that has been successfully done. So on balance, I think it's reasonable to say we regret losing those sheds, but the benefits opening up the back of the Gothic structure and the benefits of improving access to the whole site and in due course to parts of the town outweigh enormously the loss of the structural bits, particularly as we are retaining those bits towards the high street, which substantially that's what the rest are, they're very similar. And of course retaining the important feature, the most important feature is caravan and steam engine, which we all treasure and want to keep there. So I think, given that we live in a world where things have got to be paid for, if this is going to be sustainable, it's no good saying it's nice to have it. It's got to have a use and be able to pay for itself. In those circumstances, we should welcome the proposal and encourage them to considerately arrange any housing in the future, as suggested, that retains the beneficial view of the rear of the Gothic structure, which is clearly the best feature of the whole site.
I mean, in effect, it's bringing an almost derelict part of the town back into use and giving the centre an added bonus, an added boost.
Clive?
I support what Councillor Andre said. The first thing that Gertrude themselves said was that they're unable to sustain maintenance of the buildings as they are. And to see those Northern Light buildings fall into disrepair and become another decrepit part of the town would be far worse than what Gertrudes are proposing to do, which is to restore the site to some sort of functionality whilst preserving the features that shows off what it once was.
Yeah.
So I think that to sacrifice a part of it in order to sustain and maintain the whole is, as Roger correctly said, a very balanced approach. I'm fully supportive of it.
Has anyone else got any comments? So we're happy to go along with Roger's?
Yeah.
Can I copy that down?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Plan application 2376, installation of a bio-liquid
Natural gas.
natural gas, that's it. Refueling facility at Kalina.
Chair, can I ask a question? Is this for refueling, is this for the lorries? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a picture of it. Worked on the other companies.
Yes, Dave.
It's not unusual for large warehouse distribution centres like this to have their own refuelling system on site. The fact that they're sort of going eco with having the bio LNG seems to be a good point. You know,
It's got to be good for the environment as well.
yeah, because it's fueling big 44-foot Arctics with an eco-friendly fuel rather than diesel. So,
Which is sooty fine.
yeah.
Everyone happy with that? Roger?
I would just like to say, and we've met recently on these issues, that we ought to be asking whether a carbon assessment is required for this. The gas that's in that tank has to be kept at low temperature in order to prevent it evaporating. And that necessarily implies a risk of explosion. There may well need to be a carbon assessment.
Apart from that, everyone happy?
What's the security on this site? Because it looks a bit vulnerable to me.
That's fine.
Is it?
What are you thinking of running your cooker up there?
No, but I'm thinking of vandalism, you know? What is the risk for vandalism?
There's a security coach on the site and it's been fenced already.
We're all right in East Wall if it goes
It's a nice big dog, it's like,
And it's just behind my house.
dear, it's a nice
There's
left
their
there.
site plan, the red square is
It's a combustible.
Should no change. Sorry, Chair.
Sorry, Roger?
Should note there is already a fuel tank on site, block that's down that top blue line. The square block you can see just before the picture of the inset is a fuel tank already, which provides
Diesel.
slightly different, but the risk is already there.
Thank you for that, Roger. Everyone happy?
Yeah.
Support that?
Yeah, support the
I
subject.
can't remember since.
Yeah, subject to, yeah. Number 3, 2450, retention of 6 number flagpoles for a temporary period as amended by plans received on the 18th of March last year to enable condition 1 to be as follows. Flagpoles hereby approved shall be removed no later than 30th of June this year, and the area in which they were located made good in keeping with the surfacing of the surrounding area. And that's for Glaw Homes, and that's at Hancock Road. Yes, Roger, this is right up next to your house.
Almost right on the street.
The original permission for these was given for a period of 1 year for marketing purposes. The marketing does continue, but there's no reason why we should extend the period of the flagpoles. That's now where people live, and it's not unreasonable to expect them not to have huge flagpoles. In actual fact, the 6 flags that are there is already in excess of that recommended by the government for these sort of sites. There should be no more than 4. It depends on the number of homes that you have the flags there. There's no reason to extend it. If they haven't finished their marketing by March 2015, tough luck.
These things are very noisy, and I can't imagine how noisy on a windy day. It must be awful, and a night.
So we happy to object to that?
Object, yeah, I'll second that, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else got any comments?
And so just the basis of the objection.
Nuisance.
Nuisance.
Noise nuisance.
And another year. Right. That's all the planning applications. Matters to report. Anyone got any matters to report?
Yes, I reported one before Christmas. I knew that to everybody. Was wondering what the state of that might be. This land grabbing.
I don't know anything more about it. Land grabbing is a really difficult one, because you need to know what's going on.
That was the reason for sending you the pictures.
Well, yeah.
Isn't it? And then you'd be able to get some information from the borough about who owns that bit of utility.
That's why I've got it away, but I will chase it.
So, okay, so take it as a new matter's arising. Clark is aware.
Okay, Roger.
Chair, on that matter, we are meeting with, or I am meeting with, I hope that Clark will be busy on Thursday now. We are meeting on Thursday, following a meeting we had with various stakeholders around the Clements estate. Some of the housing associations and authority are coming together with their maps to try and identify who owns what. And it might be that we can raise that issue then and see if they can see that for us. I'll be happy to do that on Thursday if that's where we want. I just need to know exactly where we mean, so that I can ask them.
You know the
Council to afterwards,
Yes.
that's sure.
Right. Anything else anyone want to say? Everyone happy? Happy New Year to everyone. Next meeting, 3rd of February. Put that in your diary. Meeting closed at 7:30.
Thank you, Chair.